As we had already started with the ER model and we had seen the notations of the ER diagram and some important concepts of the ER model like entity set, keys, which we have discussed, super key, primary key, and candidate key. And we have already discussed the attributes and its types. And we had already discussed the ER diagram notations. So in ER model, the database design has two steps, or we can say two stages. Stage number one, we need to design the database. Okay. And then stage number two is we need to implement, or we can say we need to actually create that database using the database programming language. For example, SQL. So we'll be using SQL and then we will create the database and then we'll perform the query and everything from that database. But before this second phase, we need to design the database. Okay, so ER diagram is one of the tool that is used to design the diagram. So we will do one case study today on this ER diagram and we will try to design our database. We'll do this first stage. We'll try to design the database and then we'll create the ER diagram of that database. And later on in the upcoming lessons, we will be implementing the similar database using the SQL language or using the MySQL DBMS. Okay, so let us understand the problem statement first. What is the problem statement which we have to deal with, and then we have to create the database for this problem statement. So this is about a university. This is a university where we have some problems that we have to sort out with the help of the database. Let us read this problem statement first. Design and develop. So there are two stages, design and develop, and we will be dealing with these two stages, first with design and then with develop. So today we will design and in upcoming lesson we will develop the database for a university for which following details are as follows. So we have to be very careful while reading these details. So part A, the database will maintain information about all the colleges in the university. So this is a university which is having colleges, and we have to keep the details about all the colleges that are under the university. And what are those details? For example, the name of the college, the contact number of the college, and the address of the college. We can also add email ID of that college as well. Next, B. It will maintain information about all the departments of each college. Like what are the details? Department name will be there. Then we have the contact number. We have the head of the department. For example, like in any college, we have a computer science department. So we will have the name of that department and then we'll have the contact number and head of the department. Next, we have to maintain the information about all the courses that are being offered in each department. And the information related is the course number, the course title, and the year duration, we can say, of the course. For example, let's say in the computer science department, the course is BCA and the course is BTech and the course is MCA and so on. So these are the different courses. So we have to maintain the information about these courses. The next is it will maintain information about all faculties for each college. And what is the information related with the faculty? Their name, their designation, their qualification, address, contact number, etc. Right? So this is the information about the faculties of that college. Then next, it will maintain, the database will maintain the information about all the students, and we have to get the student detail. What is the detail? Like name, year, contact number, and the address of the student. We can also have the course and everything about the student as well. We can add it as per the requirement. Then it will maintain information about the progress report of the students, like the year and the grade and the rank of the student. So this is the problem statement that we have to solve with the help of the designing a database which we will be doing in two phases: phase 1 designing and phase 2 implementation. So let's talk about the first phase, designing phase. So before we design anything, we need to have some assumptions. So let us discuss first that what assumptions we can have in this category. So let us start the assumption number one. For example, it could be more as well. So let us say assumption number one: a college can have a college can have more than one contact number. More than one contact number. This is the assumption number one. I'm just giving you the examples. The assumptions could be anything depending upon how you are handling the database. Let's say the assumption number two. This is about students, that a student will be having a progress report, will be having a progress report for each semester, for each semester. Okay, let us say the third assumption that we are doing, it's a lecturer or a faculty, a lecturer can teach more than one course, can teach more than one course. For example, a lecturer can teach in BCA as well as can teach in BTech. So these are few assumptions. We can also take one more assumption, fourth, that a course can be taught by more than one lecturer. So these are the examples of few assumptions that we are taking before the designing of our database. So this is the step number one, basically the assumptions. You can have more assumptions as well. Then the next step comes into the action, that is identification of entities and their respective attributes. So this is the next step, that we need to identify that what entities we are having into our database, and each entity will be having what attributes. So let us start. I think we are having the entity college. This is one entity, and inside the college I would like to have some attributes like college ID. This is for the uniqueness. We will be creating it as a primary key. Then we will be using college name. So we need to store the name of the college. Then we will be taking the contact number, and then we'll be taking the address. So these are the attributes that I am taking here. We can take more attributes as well, and we can reduce as well. Next, the entity that we will be having is the department. So we are having department as our next entity, and I'll be choosing department ID. Let me make it as CID, that is college ID, and this as DID, that is department ID. Then we are having department name. Then we have contact number. Then we have a head of the department ID, that is HOD, head of the department ID. The next entity we will design is the course. Okay, and then inside the course we will be having, let us say, course ID. So we will be having course ID. Then we will be having course title. Then we will be having year. You can also say that this is the duration of the course. Then fourth entity will be faculty. And here we are having faculty ID, then definitely we will be having faculty name, then we will be having the designation inside that, and then after designation we'll be having qualification as mentioned into the problem statement, that we will be maintaining the qualification of the faculty as well. Then we'll be having the contact number, so this is contact number, and then we'll be having the address. Okay, so these are the details that were mentioned into the problem statement, that we have to take care of these details. And then we have the fifth entity, which is the student. For a student, we will be having student ID, definitely, and then we'll be having student name, year, and we have let us say admission date, or we can say registration date as well. And now I will take the last entity, which is the progress report. Progress report. So this progress report will have a report ID, definitely, an year, and grade, and let us say rank. So these are the information that I have added according to the problem statement. Remember that we have to be very careful with the problem statement. Whatever has been defined into the problem statement has to be covered. Okay, so we have covered everything that was into the problem statement, and we have identified these 6 entities, namely the college, department, course, faculty, student, and progress report. And according to the information given, we had decided the attributes of all these 6 entities. Now, the next important step, that is the step number 3, is the identification of relationship. Identification of relationships. So, we need to identify the relationships among the entity. So, let us say the first entity will be in between college and department. So what is the college and department relationship? This is a relationship, and we have to specify the cardinality as well. So one college will have n department. So this is 1:n cardinality. The second relationship that I can identify is in between department and faculty. Department and faculty. Definitely one department will have many faculties. So this is also 1:n. The third step is identifying the relationship between faculty and course. And we have already seen that multiple faculties can teach multiple course, and multiple course can have multiple faculty. So this relationship will be m:n. That is called as many to many. I have used different variables m:n here, right? But this is many to many relationship. Then the next will be in between your department and course. Department and course. Definitely one department can have multiple course. For example, the computer science department can have BCA, BTech, and MCA as well. Next is fifth. Fifth relationship is between department and student. Department and student. This is also 1:n. One department will have multiple students. And I will have one last relationship, that is in between student and progress report. So this is, I am taking the last relationship. We can also increase the relationships according to the problem statement. So this is 1:2. One student will have multiple progress reports because the student is having progress report in each semester. So if there are, let's say, 6 semesters, so one student will have 6 progress reports. So that is why the relationship here is 1:n. This is your relationship status. So now, once we have identified these identification of relationships and their cardinalities, the next stage is to identify the primary key. Okay, so this is identification identification of keys and constraints. Keys and constraints. For that, I'll be going back into this entity, and in each entity I'll be highlighting the primary key. So here we can see that college ID will be the primary key. Then we have department ID, this will be the primary key. Then we have course ID, this will be the primary key. In faculty, we'll have faculty ID as a primary key. In student, we'll be having student ID as a primary key. And in progress report, we'll be having the R ID as the primary key. And we'll talk about the constraints in the our next phase. So Abhi, we are only going to design the ER diagram where we are not going to mention any constraint. So in this phase, we'll only identify the primary key. So we have identified the primary key in all these six entities. So let me write all these primary keys. For college, the primary key is college ID. Next entity was department. So for department, we are having the primary key as department ID. And then the third one was course, for which we are having course ID as the primary key. Then the next one is your faculty, where we are having F underscore ID as primary key. Then the fifth one is your student, and for which we are having S underscore ID. Then sixth one is your progress report, which is the progress report. So this is in progress report. I am having R underscore ID. Okay. And we have to be very careful that in ER diagram, no line should overlap, right? So the next section, actual designing of the ER diagram will take place here. You can see. So let me have these entities one by one, and then I'll be designing the attributes for them. So this is the entity one, let's say, and I am mentioning it as college. So this is entity one as college. And then this is the, let us say, the entity number two, which is the department. Remember that entities are always mentioned into the rectangular boxes. Then I'll be using this third entity, and this is course. So this is course, the third entity. Then I'll be using next entity here. It is student. So I am writing it as student. And then I'll be having one more entity here. This is faculty. So I am aligning it into the space, and there is one more entity I need to mention, which is the progress report. So I will mention this progress report here downwards the student, because it's directly related with the student. So this is the progress report. Okay, so this is your progress report. Once we have aligned the entities, the next step is to mention their attributes. So let me write the attributes. So for the college, we are having one attribute as college ID. So this is C underscore ID. Remember that we symbolize attributes with the help of the ovals, and we connect them with the line to the entity. And as this is a primary key attribute, so we know that the primary key attribute is always underlined attribute. So this is the underlined attribute, which is indicating that this is our primary key attribute. Then we were having the next attribute was the name of the college. So we have mentioned here name. Then we are having the next entity as contact. So I am mentioning here contact. And then we were having the address. So the next entity for the college, next attribute for the college is the address. So I have mentioned all the attributes here. Then the next was department. Again, for the department, I am having the department ID, and we know that this department ID is a primary key, so I am underlining this as something like this. Then we are having the name of the department, so I'll mention name of the department. Then we are having the contact. So I'll be using contact. And after contact in the department, we will be having the HOD ID. So this is the head of the department ID. Right. So these are the attributes that we have mentioned with the department, and then we have to write the attributes of the course. So let me write course ID, course ID, and this is the primary key for us. So I'll underline this. So this is the course ID, and then we have the course title. So I'm just writing it here, title, and then we will be having year. So I am mentioning it here, year. So these are the attributes that are associated with the course. Let's come down to the student. So for the student, we are having student ID. So this is student ID underlined because this is a primary key attribute. Then we will be having name. So this is the student name here I'm mentioning. And then we are having year. So this is the year for the student. And we are also having the contact number. So we will mention contact, and then we will mention address of the student. All are these ovals. Remember, these are all ovals. These are all the attributes. Then comes the faculty. So we are having here the attributes of the, I'll add the attributes of the faculty. One is the faculty ID. Again, this is the primary key attribute. So this will be underlined as primary key attribute. Then we are having the name. So this is name, and then we will have the address. So this is the address, and after address we are having contact. So let me mention this contact. Remember, no line should overlap, so you have to be careful while mentioning this line. It should not overlap any attribute or anything. So something like this. Okay, so this is contact, and then we have qualification. So let me write here qualification, and then we have the designation. So this is the designation. Okay, so I think these are the attributes of the faculty, and lastly we have the progress report. So we'll go to the progress report, and we'll use the attributes. First of all, report ID, this is underlined and it's the primary key attribute. Then we are having the year. Okay, so this is the year, and then we'll having grade. So we'll mention here grade. These are all ovals you have to mention, and then we have the rank. So I'll be using rank here. Okay, so these are the entities. Now we need to connect these entities using the relationships. Okay, so I'll be connecting. Let's see where were the relationships. We are having a relationship in between college and department. So college and department will be connected together. So for the relationship, we use diamond boxes. Okay, so these diamond boxes indicates the relationship. So one diamond box is connected, the college is connected with the department. Then we have a relationship in between department and course. So this department and course will be connected with one diamond box. So it's showing the relation between department and the course. We'll fill this diamond box just right now. Then we have a relation in between department and the student. So this department and student will be connected with the diamond box. So this is a connection in between department and student. We will also connect department and faculty. So this is the connection in between department and faculty. And then we are having one relationship in between course and faculty. So this course and faculty will be connected with the help of this diamond box. Let's see which other relationship. We are having one more relationship in between student and the progress. So I'll connect this student with the progress report. So I hope so. I have used all 6 relationships that we had identified, and now we will mention the relationship name here. So we see that college has department. Okay, so college has department, and we had this 1:n relationship. So where we'll write 1, and here we'll write n. So this is 1 is to n relationship. Then department will offer a course. Generally department offers a course, so this is offers. I can mention offers here. And one department will definitely offer more than one course, so this is 1 is to n. Then department will has a faculty, so I'll write has, and one department definitely will be having multiple faculties, which is n. Then we have a course and faculty. So the relationship between course and faculty, that faculty teaches a course, so this is teaches, faculty teaches a course, so this is m is to n. So we remember that many to many relationship, m is to n relationship here is in between faculty and in between the course, right? And next we have in the department, in between the department and the student. So we know that department enroll students. So this is enroll, a relationship in between department and the student. So we can see that one department will enroll multiple students. So this is 1 is to n. And now the last relationship, that student will be report card. So student will have progress report. So definitely here we can see one student will have multiple progress reports. So this is 1 is to n. So now we have covered everything into this ER diagram, and you will see that you can see this ER diagram that we have covered everything, and we have entities, we have attributes, then we have the relationships, and we have the cardinalities as well. So this is how we create an ER diagram. So this is phase 1 done, that we had designed a database, we identified the entities, we identified the attributes, we identified the relationship, we identified the cardinalities of the relationship, and based on that we had created this ER diagram.